From the deepest ocean to the jagged peaks of the world's highest mountains, get ready for an adventure into the wonder and excitement that is our planet. This week, put on your snowshoes because we're running up Mount Fuji in the winter. Then we head to Pakistan in search of the elusive snow leopard. And finally, we dodge falling rocks in a West African cave. From the Salem Radio Network, this is National Geographic Weekend. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. This is National Geographic Weekend. I'm Boyd Matson. Now, just the beginning of this year, 20th of January, 2009, there was a big celebration down on the Mall in Washington, D.C. for the inauguration of President Barack Obama. I actually got up early that morning and joined the mass of 2 million people standing on the mall because I thought, well, this is going to be a historic occasion. If you live in Washington, D.C., the least you can do is get your butt out of bed and get down there and participate in this. You don't want to just say, well, I was close, but I watched it on TV. No. You got to be in the middle of it. And aside from all the other impressions about what was going on in democracy, I was struck with one thing. It was really cold that day. I was freezing there. Fortunately, I had my gloves and long underwear from Antarctica that I just unpacked the night before. But if I was cold for the inauguration, consider the case of Sean Birch. To celebrate the inauguration, he did not do it in Washington, D.C., but in Japan on Mount Fuji in the winter. Now, this is probably the most climbed mountain in the world, except during wintertime, which, of course, is when Sean went to climb it. Welcome to the show, Sean.
Thank you for having me.
Are you thawed out yet?
I'm getting there.
We've had Sean on before, and if you've heard that, you know he loves extreme. I don't know if love or just addicted to extreme adventure.
Addicted, I'd say, yeah.
Yeah.
So I like a challenge. I like a good challenge. Yeah.
Well, what could be more challenging than Mount Fuji during the winter? So
that's true.
If you go there during the summer, there might be 5,000 people on the mountain with you.
A day, yeah. Over in 2 months span, there's over 300,000 people climbing. But in the winter, there's maybe 10 to 20 that actually go up, try to go towards the summit, yeah.
And you decided this was going to be your way to commemorate the inauguration
Absolutely.
of the new president.
Yeah, I mean, I think Obama's got a lot on his plate, and I figure, hey, and I'm from D.C. and grew up here. I think, hey, I can send my positive energy his way. Let's do something special. So let's go to Mount Fuji and see if we can climb it in the wintertime.
And as it turned out, you were looking at the weather forecast, and you saw that January 20th, the inauguration day, it was going to be impossible to climb. Mm-hmm. So you went 4 days early, and it was still pretty bad.
Oh, it was real bad. It was just the winds were intense. It was actually cold. The winds were more intense on the top of Mount Fuji than on top of Mount Everest at that time. That blew me away. But when I experienced it, I could say, oh yeah.
When you're saying intense, what kind of miles per hour?
I'd say about 60. It blew me off my feet 3 times. And I was literally fighting the wind.
Blew you off your feet?
Off my feet 3 times. I had a self-arrest 3 times.
So when you say you were blown away by the inauguration, you were literally knocked to the ground.
In a few ways, yeah.
And then there was snow the whole way up.
Oh, yeah. From a quarter way up, it starts to get all snow. But there was snow from the base, yeah.
And what was the temperature like?
0 degrees Celsius.
Well, that's 32 degrees. It's right at freezing.
Yeah.
And that's not counting wind chill. Then you got a 60-mile-an-hour wind.
Yeah, I was lower on the mountain. As we got higher, it was negative 20, I think, Celsius.
I'm not sure exactly how this works when it goes, but that's almost the crossing point where Celsius and Fahrenheit are about the same.
Yeah.
And not only did you do this in wind and snow and cold, but you did it in record time. You set the world's record for the fastest climb of Mount Fuji.
In snowshoes. I went up in snowshoes.
In snowshoes.
Well, anyway, I mean, I chose snowshoes. I could have gone crampons, could have ran up in track shoes, but yeah, I chose snowshoes. So it's kind of the fine line between track shoes and crampons. You can grab the ice, but it's also faster than in crampons.
And at least you weren't post-holing.
Yeah,
which means where you step and you sink down in the snow up to your mid-thigh.
Not as much, exactly.
The snowshoes at least kept you up a little bit.
Exactly. It helped me on the lower altitude.
We're talking with Sean Birch here on National Geographic Weekend. Fitness guru. He's actually written a book called Hyper Fitness, but also just extreme sport crazy. Is that the cut line?
Challenge. I like a new challenge every time, so I try to pick something different across the board that's extreme in the adventure world, let's say, and I'll shoot for it and I'll train for it.
This is it for this year. What a way to kick off the year. Climbing Mount Fuji in record time, and here is the time. 4 hours, 5 minutes, 42 seconds in the winter, in the snow. And how much distance is that? How much elevation?
9,000 to 10,000 feet, yeah.
9,000 to 10,000 feet in 4 hours
Yeah.
in the winter. That's unbelievable. Now, how do you train for that?
Well, I train every day, all the time. I mean, that's what I do. So, I wrote a fitness book about it. So you got to stay in shape. So I do my hyper fitness program every day. On 2 or 3 hours, and then go off and do these expeditions.
I wish Sean hadn't brought up the hyper fitness program, because when he was on the show last time, I made some kind of commitment that I was going to do this. It was about a year ago now.
That's right.
And then I had an excuse because I had a foot injury, and then I ended up having surgery, which took me 3 months to recover from. So I've yet to begin Sean's hyper fitness program. And he's shaking his head at me right now.
We've got guys all over the world. I got guys from South Africa, from Philippines that send me photos of them working out.
I'm sending you a picture of my foot surgery.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's right.
I'm sending you a picture of my toe with the ligament being reattached. You train every day.
Yes.
To keep in some kind of shape. But that is not training for running in snowshoes, which means, did you actually go and run in snowshoes as preparation? Do you do what you're going to do specifically?
No, not much, actually. When I did the North Pole Marathon, I'd never run in snowshoes at all, and I ran it and was fortunate enough to win and get that world record. But I think my plyometric training, that type of balance drills I do with my program, enables me to do any sport that I really choose to do. So I will do a little bit of it, but not specifically like sport specific.
Had you been up at altitude? And even though this isn't that high a mountain, but if you're going up to 13,000 feet, that's still some altitude that's a little different than running here in Washington, D.C. at sea level.
I trained for a couple of days on the mountain. I was up there, I had a tent, didn't see anybody for like 3 or 4 days, came back down.
So you got 3 or 4 days of cold training and a little bit of altitude and a little bit of practice in snowshoes.
Yeah.
All right, folks, there's your tip. 3 days of training and you can run up Mount Fuji.
Sure. You can do anything you want to if you set your mind to it, I think, yeah.
In addition to running, just hauling yourself up, you're carrying a camera and filming?
I don't film I do it when I'm training, but when I get to the top, I'll start filming. But I don't take any pictures, nothing. When I'm just focusing on getting to the top.
So you've got your picture at the start, and then you've got your picture at the top, and you're showing a picture of your GPS.
And show them that, exactly. Video when I get to the top of the wind, blowing me up, almost blowing me over. Yeah, it was great.
Well, there were some side effects other than just being able to claim a world record with this, and these were the physical price you paid. It's if you're going to climb in extreme weather like that, you're going to suffer, and sometimes it's serious. And there was minor frostbite.
Minor frostbite on my fingertips, which I've had, from previous climbs from 8,000 meter peaks. But my hands, first time they got really swollen, and they've just recently gone down about 50-60%. But they hurt all the time, and that's a first. I think every time we go out in the mountains, which we were talking about earlier, something happens that's new that it just keeps getting worse and worse. So it's I'm very cautious about it.
Put your hands out so I can say. I'll describe this for the people on the radio. They're actually a little they're a little pink and then a little blue,
purple,
it's like purple and swollen and a little yellowish color. So that is some leftover frostbite.
Yeah.
And you don't have all the feeling back yet.
No, my fingertips, I can't feel anything.
Have you had this before, this serious?
Yeah, I had it real serious on Everest.
If you keep doing this, you can lose them.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I think I got 3 or 4 more in me of really cold weather. And I was thinking my next one is going to be in the desert. Something in the desert. I don't know what it's going to be, but I've never been in the desert and done something extreme adventure. So I'm thinking, you know what? I think it's time.
Well, I didn't know if that was just me, but I think my extremities get more sensitive over repeated exposure, that they can take less time in the cold now until suddenly they start feeling numb and painful.
Absolutely. Every time it gets worse, and you can't really heal frostbite.
You climbed Everest, that's now almost 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And did that do it for you for 8,000 meter peaks?
No, it did it for me with crowds. Everest is a total circus in 2003. I heard it's only gotten worse from my climbing buddies. So I'm thinking about some other 8,000 meter peaks, but some that are not usually climbed as much and are more quiet. When I was on Shishapangma, I was climbing with one of my buddies, and it was just me and him on the mountain. We didn't see anybody for 4 days, and that's the kind of climbing I really like. Just you in the mountain.
Well, It's got to be thrilling to know that you are the best or the fastest, or you set some kind of record in going and accomplishing an event. But at some point, you probably run out of places where you can set records. Or do you? Oh, well, let's find out if there are any challenges ahead that Sean thinks he can be the next person to be the fastest, or do it the longest, or do it the hardest, or do it somehow in a way that nobody else has ever done it before. We'll find that out when we continue here on National Geographic Weekend. I'm Boyd Matson. We're back here on National Geographic Weekend. I'm Boyd Matson. It's a little chill in the room here in the studio because Sean Birch, who is our guest, who just came back from setting the speed record of going up Mount Fuji in Japan. This is this mountain that you see lovers strolling up, cherry blossoms around it in the summertime. But if you go up in the winter, as Sean did, then you come back like he has with the after effects of frostbite, and even his cheeks still look rosy.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
He's showing the effect.
The effects.
He looks
not pleasant, is it? No.
No, his cheeks look like a cherry blossom right now, in fact. If this is the effect of cold adventure, surely there's something warm that could be on the horizon for you.
Yeah, I think there's a few things I have ideas about doing, but I usually don't unless it's very confirmed, set in stone. Then I'll let people know about it. But there's a couple ideas that look really interesting, intriguing to me that I've set my eyes on. So we'll see.
And that's the question here that I'm wondering: how you pick an adventure. Do you do it by what interests you, or by where you think you can do it in a way that it's never been done before?
All of the above. Something I've never been in Japan, like Fuji. I've never been in Japan. So that would interest me right there. Mount Fuji is climbed all the time in the summer, but all the photographs you see are in the winter because of the beautiful mountain, snow-capped up. So I was like, well, great. How many people climb in the winter? Well, absolutely hardly anyone. I mean, the Fuji Ranger is like no one climbs. So that intrigued me again. Then can I do it? And then how fast can I do it? And maybe can I get a record while I'm doing it? So I think of all of the above.
Is there anything you do slow? Well, without getting too personal. I meant like chew your food extra.
No, actually, no. I actually eat pretty quick. A lot of food, too, as well. Got to consume calories, you know.
If you want to lose weight, follow Sean around through his hyper fitness program. He's written a book called Hyper Fitness. How many calories do you eat when you're climbing?
As many
like
as
that, and how much do you eat, and how often do you eat when you're trying to set a record going up a mountain in 4 hours?
As many as I can. Many as I can put into me.
And do you just eat crap?
No, I eat really healthy. Yeah, I'm very, very strict about my diet. I just eat a lot of it. You know, I'll do 15, 16 servings of vegetables and fruits and fiber and lean protein every single day. So good fats, you know.
All right, give people an idea. Let's give them something that if they don't want to climb Mount Fuji in 4 hours, what is the kind of program that you should be on at a minimum where you could just go out and walk around the block or have a little hiking, a little climbing, just be able to do some activities beyond what you could do normally?
I think with my program personally, because I do my program, is 45 minutes a day, 30 to 45 minutes a day, and you could hike up a 14,000-foot peak. But you can't take it lightly when you train. You have to be really serious about it. You have to be into your training. That's why you have to exercises have to stimulate your mind. If you're walking on a treadmill for 30 minutes, I mean, to me, that's boring. You have to have something that stimulates your mind, that gets your heart rate up. And so that's the big thing, is take your workout seriously, spend those 30 to 45 minutes efficiently, and then do it 6 days a week, 5-6 days a week. And then from there, I think you can pretty much do anything you want. You set your mind to it. But you always have to have those goals. Goals is everything. If I don't have a goal I'm shooting for, I start getting lazy with my program and, don't work out as intense as I'd like to.
It doesn't take 3 or 4 hours of workout a day to be in good shape.
Absolutely not. 30 to 45 minutes would be
30 to 45 minutes.
Absolutely, but just the way you work out.
You can't do long rests between sets.
Yeah, you can't get on a spin bike and just get your heart rate up to 100 beats per minute. You've got to really focus and get yourself moving. But it's a tough thing to do, whether through music, again, through a lot of different exercises. That's, again, how I do it. I do it like 15, 16 different exercises every day, totally just to stimulate my mind to get me moving.
Now, I see people doing this, and I don't know if you can get exercise, so maybe you can answer this question. I see people reading a book or reading the newspaper while they're on the treadmill or the bicycle. Is that possible? If I have any movement at all, my eyes can't even focus. So,
well, yeah, I mean, you're not really working out that hard. I mean, it's good that you're doing something, and so that's better than nothing. But I've seen people holding the treadmill, the side of the railings. What's the point of that? You're holding this treadmill, right? You've just knocked down your workout 50% by doing that, or reading. Sometimes I will like zone off and try to watch something on TV, but that's when I'm going really intense, because my mind is, my heart's ready to explode. So I've got to try to change my focus on something.
We're getting our advice here on how to get in shape from Sean Birch, who then goes out and proves that his plan works, because he does things like he's just come back from climbing Mount Fuji in record time in the winter, wearing snowshoes. He went up almost 10,000 feet up the mountain in sub-zero temperatures, 60-mile-an-hour winds, and he did it in 4 hours and 5 minutes for a world record. So at least it works for him.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever works for you. That's the big thing too. Well, my goal is different from your goal. Everyone has different goals, but my idea is always try to be your best you can.
But if you'd like to just be able to walk to your car without needing to pause for a breath along the way.
Yes,
He's recommending some daily workouts of no more than 30 to 45 minutes, but doing it correctly.
Moderate to intense, yeah. It's a good start, yeah.
When you were going up the mountain, was there any point you felt like, I don't really need to set a record, just doing it in the winter's enough? I can slow down the pace because this is killing me.
Every time I do something, I always have that feeling in the back, what the heck am I doing? When my hands were swollen, I was like, what am I doing to myself? I've got a young child, and I was like, I don't really need this type of, but then you got to think about, hey, I challenge myself. Let's see it through. Let's see if I can do it. And that's the always thing. I'm always trying to challenge myself. Can I do it? Can I be the best I possibly can be? And that's all I try to do every day, is try to be the best I possibly can be.
And you did think about quitting? While you ran, or maybe not even quitting, just slowing down.
Not quitting, but just say, what, is it really worth it?
Because nobody's going to know.
Yeah, I mean,
that you didn't set a record.
Yeah, I mean, it's that really the first thing was to honor Obama to me, but those to push myself, and then but then of course the record was always in the back of your mind, because then it makes it to me more worthwhile.
What was the record? Do you know?
No, what the mountain ranger says that he thinks there's like 6-7 hours. He said there's really no official, there's no guidebook in City Hall that says here's the official time. They do have in the summertime. They have a mountain race up Mount Fuji.
And what's the record?
2 hours and 32 minutes in the summertime. But in the wintertime, they're like, oh, absolutely. But we can't officially say it's a world record. I mean, I can't even believe you climbed it, because most people don't even like to climb it. But
And how deep did the snow get?
It was up to my knees.
Up to your knees. So
yeah.
I don't even know how you can do that.
And then on the lower altitude, when we got higher, and once the wind hit it, once it opened up,
then it became like ice.
So that was easier. But then you had the wind, so it was a kind of a give and take thing. So the lower part, you're trying to plod through with your snowshoes, which would make me sink down a little bit, up, and then you went it higher, you get the winds, which I thought were a lot worse. I mean, that was intense. I got some great video of that.
I hope you completely return to a normal human-like color.
Thank you very much.
Very soon. And congratulations on setting the record and doing this to kick off 2009 with this record ascent up Mount Fuji. And we appreciate you giving us a couple of workout tips. Maybe this time I'll follow through a little better.
All right.
It's always good to see you, Sean.
Good to see you.
Here's a job with a challenge. Being a field biologist whose job it is to study one of the most elusive creatures in the wild, meaning they will hardly ever get a chance to even see it in person. The animal is the snow leopard. The solution? Well, we'll find that out right after this break. This is National Geographic Weekend on the Salem Radio Network. I'm Boyd Matson.